To get started on this lesson, you should have downloaded the Lesson 3 exercise file, and inside of it we've got two different images. Of course, you've got the end product, but we're going to start by deviating from what the book says and just launch this Photoshop Start 3 document directly in Photoshop. One of the things that the book talks about is being able to save and open your documents from Creative Cloud. Creative Cloud is a fantastic service that allows you to save your documents and have them available on multiple computers because you're downloading it from the internet. However, we're not going to be using that feature for this particular class. As a matter of fact, one of the new updates to our license doesn't allow us to save documents directly to the cloud anymore. Instead, when you go to File and Save As, you can rename this 03 Working. This will be a Photoshop file, but notice that Save to Cloud Documents is no longer an option. Because of this update, we're not going to deal with it. We're just going to go ahead and save it up and then jump into the first part of this exercise. So make sure you've got Lesson 3 folder saved and hit Save, and let's continue. Now this lesson is all about using the different kinds of selection tools to be able to select different areas and cut them out and edit them and move them around. To get started, let's zoom down to this first image by using our zoom tool, and we can click and drag, or you can use Command and the plus and minus sign until it's nice and centered into your area. The first tool that we want to be able to use is located underneath your object selection tool, so click and hold on it and choose the Magic Wand tool. With the Magic Wand tool selected, have a look at the top at all of our different tool options. First off, make sure that Add To or Normal Selection Mode is selected for this first one, for our new selection. We're sampling point samples, and our tolerance needs to be set to 32. For now, we're going to keep everything contiguous and also uncheck Sample All Layers. We don't have a bunch of layers to begin with. Now the Magic Wand tool works by clicking on an area, so we're going to click on the red area, and you can see how it selects all of the like pixels within that area. Now if you ever need to deselect it, right now we've just got the red selected. We want to select the little sand dollar in the area. Let's go up to Select and choose Deselect. Notice that Command D or Control D is the keyboard shortcut. If we click inside of the sand dollar, it does a pretty good job of selecting it, but you can see there are some little areas that are outlined. That simply means it's not been selected. This is because whenever we clicked on this area, it's looked at the same or similar color pixels that are close to where we clicked on. The areas that are not selected aren't selected because there's too much variation. They're too different from that area that we selected. Because of this, the Magic Wand tool comes in handy if you've got like areas. Now you can change how much of the deviation is by changing the tolerance. Higher tolerance will let you select more pixels that are different. Lower tolerance keeps the tolerance low, and everything has to be closer to the same. Another tool that allows you to quickly select everything is simply known as the Quick Selection tool, and I tend to prefer this one. Let's go back up to Select and Deselect. The Quick Selection tool can be found hiding underneath and grouped with your Magic Wand. So here it is with Quick Select. But this tool works a little bit more like a paintbrush that allows you to quickly paint over an area and select it. Let's have a look at our tool options. First off, do make sure you're working in normal selection mode. The size of your brush can vary, but as long as it's around 30 or 20 to 30 pixels, that's okay. We don't want it to be super huge or too super small. We're also going to enhance the edge and keep Sample All Layers unselected. From here, when you click inside the area, one little click does a pretty good job of selecting all those same and like pixels. If necessary, you can also click and drag over the area and paint out, and it'll select those areas too. Now that we have everything selected, let's see if we can move it around. Let's zoom out by hitting Command or Control minus sign until we can see the A up here at the top. To move this, let's choose our double arrow, black arrow move tool, And with it selected, notice I've got a little bounding box. I can click inside the area and drag it off. It'll only move those selected pixels, and when I move it, it's going to fill it in with a solid fill color. Let's move it all the way up to the A frame and place it inside of here. If you've got your little helper toolbox down here, you can click on deselect, and that'll automatically deselect it. Notice that when we moved these pixels from one area to the other, we didn't copy or cut them and then paste them. Therefore, our layers panel keeps just the background layer. We didn't add any extra layers to this particular technique. Let's see if we can do something similar to the B section. Zoom down to the little coral at the very bottom, and this time we're going to use our object selection tool. The object selection is grouped with the quick select, and with this tool, when you highlight it or hover over it, it'll give a highlight, or you can click and drag over an area and it will use AI to try to find the object inside of it. As with the others, let's use our move tool, so our double arrow. We'll zoom out a little bit, and let's click and drag and move it up and into place. And then we can go to select and deselect. This time, let's zoom down to the little plate down here at the bottom. It's not perfectly round, but it is a good elliptical shape. So this time, we're going to use the ellipse marquee. If you don't see it, it's hiding underneath or grouped with the rectangular marquee. Let's pay attention to the selection options for it. Make sure you're in normal selection mode with a feathering of 0. Anti-alias is turned on, and we'll keep the style at normal with nothing turned in or turned on inside of there. Now for this, when you click and drag, this will create a marquee of marching ants in an ellipse. The problem with the ellipse tool is sometimes it's hard to see exactly where this should be. So when you click and drag, you can see how it gets off by just a little bit. If you're still holding your mouse down when you click and drag, you can also hold down your space bar, and that will allow you to move your selection around without readjusting it. Then you can let go of your space bar and press your space bar until you get it set right about where it needs to be. Now if your selection is off by a little bit, that's okay. But keep holding down the space bar and releasing the space bar as you keep your mouse held down in order to adjust the placement of the selection. Now that we've got it selected, this time, rather than choosing the Move tool, let's zoom out by hitting Command and 0, and that'll fit it to the screen. Rather than choosing the Move tool, hold down the Command key if you're on a Mac or the Control key if you're on a Windows, and notice that it turns directly into the Move tool. Now we can click on it and drag, and when you let go of your mouse first, then your Command key, it goes back to the Selection tool. Now if you need to fine-tune wherever you place something, I'm going to zoom back in. You can also hold down your arrow keys and notice that it's still selected and it's able to move and nudge itself into place, either going up and down or left and right. Now these are in small increments. If we hold down the Shift key and do the arrow keys, notice that it's going to jump a lot more increments and move a lot more faster. So this arrow key technique is a great way to dial in and nudge exactly what you want so that you can see it and place it perfectly. Now that it's placed perfectly, let's go up to Select and Deselect. Let's zoom back out so we can see the bottom, and then carefully go down to the bottom right-hand corner. To select this muscle, we're going to be using some of the lasso tools. If you click and hold at the top of your toolbox, the lasso tools are hiding underneath the new Selection Brush tool. Now, these lasso tools give you the ability to freehand draw whatever area you want to select. And specifically, the regular freehand lasso tool gives you that ability, while the polygon lasso gives you straight edges to be able to select. The best part about these tools is they can be used interchangeably as you make a selection. Let's start off with the lasso tool. We'll begin by selecting this bottom left-hand corner. When you click on it, you can drag your mouse, and as long as you're holding down your mouse, you're making a freehand selection. Now, if yours is off by a little bit, that's okay, but simply take some time and slowly go around until we reach this little top portion here. Now, because we're about to go through a straight area, let's hold down the Option key if you're on a Mac, or the Alt key if you're on a Windows, and you can let go of your mouse, and notice that it becomes the polygon lasso tool. Now you can click once, and it becomes the regular selection tool again. And you can let go of your mouse. Once again, hold down the Option key and let go of your mouse and click. You can actually click multiple times and it will create a series of straight lines until we reach this edge, and you can let go of the Option key and move around. So as long as you're holding down the Option key and let go of your mouse, you can get some straight edges. But then when you want to go back to your regular lasso tool, you can let go of the Option key or the Alt key until you reach all the way back to the very beginning. Now that we're back to our beginning point, you can let go and you can see how it's selected the entire area. At any time, if you make a mistake during this process, don't freak out. The whole thing is to get you to understand that you can swap between both of these tools. You can always deselect it and start again. And again, if yours is off by a little bit, don't worry too much about that for counting off. Now that we've got it selected, let's use our trick to move it into place. So I'm going to zoom back out, hold down the Command key, and then click and drag up to this area. I'm going to zoom in so I can see it a little bit better too. Now that we've got it placed up here, we need to rotate it into place. To do a simple transformation, let's go up to the Edit drop-down menu, then choose Transform, and this time choose Rotate. We've got a bounding box around it, and we can rotate it now 90 degrees, and then you can move it into place from here. Once you've got your rotation set and everything locked in, click on the little checkbox at the very tip top, and then we can also deselect it to place it into place. Everything's looking really good now. The magnetic lasso also allows you to have a freehand drawing, but it also makes it a little bit easier to select the edges. Let's go back up to our lasso selections and choose Magnetic Lasso Tool. If you pay attention to the options at the very top, do make sure that you're working in normal mode with no feather. Set your width to be 10 pixels with a contrast of 10% and a frequency of 57. Those are kind of just some default settings, but you can tweak these later on. If we zoom down to the little shell in the top middle, the magnetic lasso works by finding a contrast between the edges of the area you're trying to select. So this works well if you've got something that's got a bright area and a dark area beside it. In this case, we're going to click once right here where the shell has a little corner, and you can let go of your mouse and then carefully move along the edge. Notice that as you move along this edge, it's going to automatically start to add little points to that selection. Now, if you make a mistake at any time, you can hit the Escape key, or you can double click to lock in your selection, and then you can deselect it and start again. But all we're doing is going around this edge until we reach the beginning, and you can click once and it selects that entire area. Now that we've got it selected, let's move it up into place too. Hold down the Command key, click and drag. Let's place it right there. So far so good, we're almost done. The last thing that we want to do is to select a little screw and add it to all four corners. Since it's a circle, let's choose the elliptical marquee one more time. Let's zoom into that particular area. This time, instead of clicking and dragging to make a selection from the corner outward, hold down the Option key as you click on the center of the little circle. Notice now that when you click and drag out, it selects it from the center point. As long as you're holding down the Option key, it'll work this way. You can also hold down the Shift key, so Shift and Option, or Alt if you're on a keyboard or on a Windows, will allow you to get a perfect circle from the center. Finally, if you need to readjust it, you can also hold down the space bar. It may be a little bit awkward, but this will allow you to select all 3 keys and perfectly align it. Just make sure to let go of your mouse first, then you can let go of your keyboard. With that area selected, let's one more time zoom back out until we can see this lower corner. Choose your Move tool and let's click and drag it up to here. Now that it's inside of this area, let's resize it. Go up to Edit, down to Transform, and this time we're going to do a scale transformation. This will allow us to click on the edge and you can see how it scales from the edge. But again, if you hold down the Option key, this will allow you to scale from the center point. So let's scale it down till it's nice in that size. Once we like what we've done, let's hit the checkbox to lock it in. Let's scroll up and maybe zoom out so we can see everything. And let's hold down the Option key as we click and drag and make a copy of it. Just make sure to let go of your mouse first before letting go of your Option key. If we scroll over to the other side, one more time, we can hold down the Option key and make a copy of it. Let go of your mouse first, and then your Option key. And then one more time, hold down the Option, and then let go of your mouse as you click and drag. Now that we've got all of the areas nice and cut out and in place, let's deselect everything. And let's crop off the unnecessary stuff at the bottom. To crop off the area, let's choose the Crop tool. With the Crop tool selected, pay attention to your options at the very top. Make sure it's set to Ratio up here at the top and that there's no ratio numbers inside of here. You can hit Clear if there are. Also, let's make sure Delete Cropped Pixels is checked on. With this selected, you can see how it gives us a bounding box. Let's make sure our top bounding box is at the top edge of our document. Let's bring the, let's bring the bottom edge of the bounding box up until it crops nicely inside of this area. Now, since we want to have about the same amount of space around each one, we'll visually go in and crop it till it's just about the same amount of white space all along every edge. We'll go over here to the left side and let's drag it into here. That's looking good. Once you're finished, let's hit the checkbox at the very top to lock in our transformation. Now we're all finished up. We'll go up to File and let's do a save one last time and make sure to upload this Photoshop document to the class page for credit.